I understand that the narrative nowadays against men in particular has killed, or at least destroyed, a lot of the ambition and the desire to have ambition in our society. Because a lot of the men don't even feel like it's worth it. A lot of men don't even see that the risk reward is there. It's just a logical step at this point to see, okay, there's certain things happening and there's certain things that we're not being granted to as men, and so we might as well just give up. And I'm here to tell you that I don't think that's the right decision. I don't think the right decision is to go overseas to look for women. I don't think you can run away from your problems. This seems to be a rising topic of discourse that is being present among the manosphere community and just by content creators at large, is the whole passport bros thing and all of that. We actually even talked about it in the Regal Change Academy the other day on our group call, but what I see to be the case is that it's not going to really help anybody in the long run to run away. And a lot of the times, the men that go other places either already have the means to do so, or they're just trying to make sure that they don't have to have certain kinds of levels of competition, or to be in an environment where they're going to be placed as the number one person, or the number one male particularly, because they didn't have the purpose and the drive to do it in the United States. And I'm not saying this is just the United States thing. This is a whole worldwide thing. But you got to ask yourself, why is it the case, if America is so bad, why are so many people still trying to flock to this place? This is the land of the free. Even though obviously there's a lot of stuff going on with the government that makes it not seem the case, it is the case that the purpose-driven men out here that are striving for success, that are doing everything they can to build themselves physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially, they're not having issues that much. And even the ones that are, they have the pick of the litter, and they know that they're going to be okay no matter what. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a high value or a high successful man or any shape of the imagination. I'm just saying that I'm a man that has experienced a lot and is trying to help people grow closer to Yeshua, help people build their purpose and their brand, or to increase their fitness and to improve, strengthen healthy relationships. This is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm trying to do with this channel. And so if you're not about that, if you're not about hearing the truth about things, this channel is not going to be for you. Okay, this channel is just not going to be for you. And I think a lot of men, what it is they cannot relate to the cross. They simply cannot, because in order to really understand what Yeshua went through when he went on the cross and what he was really doing there, not just to understand the metaphysical parameters and the spiritual parameters and the symbolic parameters, but the physical parameters of what he had to do to get to that point, you have to have a certain kind of level of suffering yourself. But you have to treat your suffering as challenges. You have to treat your suffering like it's actually something that is worth striving for. Because the dominant men that I've seen in sports or at the gym or whatnot, the biggest things that I've learned from martial arts, the biggest things that I've learned from the gym, the biggest things that I've learned from sports in general, all of these things showed me that to strive for dominance is not a bad thing, and also that you should approach suffering and hardships as ways to improve and as challenges to overcome. You have to think about this whole life, where we're at now. Look around. You've got to treat this life like a video game in some sense. I'm not saying that it is a video game. I'm not saying that it has to be a simulation or anything like that. I'm just saying that you've got to treat this life like you can level up however you want to do. This is the real world Zelda. Anybody here played Zelda before, they understand exactly what I'm talking about. But this is where we have to recognize that this life is so much more than just this world that we're seeing around us, okay? The world is just so much more. And a lot of the times, men out here do not want to actually look at themselves and apply certain things that they've learned because they fear that having to look at themselves and confronting themselves means they're going to have to change themselves, which they are right. You are right. You're going to have to change some things about yourself. But this should be an encouraging moment. This shouldn't be a frightening moment. Why should this be something that is frightening to you? And I'm not saying that you have to go be whoever the most biggest successful person with mansions across the country or the world or cars or anything. I'm talking about soulful success where you can spiritually be resourceful inside yourself, where you may be in the cold, but your soul is on fire. Your soul is burning because you have your fuel source is the Most High. This is something that C.S. Lewis has talked about, and I've been introduced to C.S. Lewis by multiple people recently. It's almost like C.S. Lewis has become kind of a synchronicity figure in my worldly and spiritual experiences recently. It's kind of strange, not only just in the physical community, but in people I've done consultations with and people in the Regal Change Academy as well. This is something that's come up. And so I've been called to really look more into C.S. Lewis, and something that I think that was really valuable that he said was that when you are really with the Most High, your fuel source is the Creator, okay? If you do not have the dominance and the drive and the purpose in your life, it's because you lack a relationship to the Creator. A lot of men out here, whether it's dating or whatever, they want to say to themselves, well, you know, like they hear these dating gurus or whatever, and they're like, oh, just be indifferent or just ignore her or whatever. It's like, okay, well, you can try that. But really what this whole thing is about, it's you're still looking outside of yourself. You're still looking outside of yourself. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't know how to deal with women or people in general. But what you really need to focus on is how to master yourself. And a lot of the principles of Stoicism is really helpful with this. If you're not necessarily into religion or into learning about the Bible or the Quran, the Stoicism as a philosophy in of itself, I've known very many atheists in my past that were highly attuned to the principles of Stoicism, but they always found it to be somewhat empty after a while. They couldn't really get at what they were actually saying. And it's because the Stoics at a very core level, think about Socrates, for example. Socrates was a man that had way more of a connection to God, to the Most High, to Yahuwah, than anybody else around him. He even said that there was one God. That was according to the writings of Plato. That's what we have as far as information about Socrates and what he thought. So when we're looking around at the world and we're living a life, in order to live life to the fullest, it doesn't mean to invest in, or not to even invest, but to just spend your time on worldly pleasures. You must invest in your spiritual wellness. And to invest in your spiritual wellness, when you understand that you're not spending your time in this life, you can actually invest it. Everything changes, because then everything becomes an understanding of, okay, how am I going to be able to live in abundance down the line? How am I going to be able to expand my consciousness down the line? And I know a lot of the times people are not going to necessarily think like that, but to expand your consciousness is going to be way more meaningful for you and to you, because like a lot of these guys just don't get it, because they don't want to think about that spirituality side. They don't want to think about judgment coming for them. They don't want to think about the Most High being capable of putting them in the lake of fire and striking them down with fury and because of their sense of pride. A lot of the men out here are prideful. And a lot of the women are vain because of men's pride. A man, it's almost like, I'm not saying that it's all man's fault, because it's definitely not man's fault, but it's definitely not all women's fault either for this dating world that we're in. It's kind of everybody's fault, but men have to take responsibility to be the leaders. Men have to say, okay, I have to take accountability and responsibility to lead our women out of here. This is why I'm saying, to kind of complete this loop here, I'm trying to get a lot of context so that we can come back to this. So with the passport bros thing, if we really want to help our women, because if you look around in your community, that's your women. Look around you. Those are your women, okay? It may not seem like it, but those are going to be the most direct points of contact that you can have a positive influence or not. And a lot of the people, male and female, will not want to listen to you. They don't want to listen, and that's okay, but you still have to be the light. And you've got to make sure that you're protecting your energy and harnessing the energy that you have to not just spread it to whoever that does not have eyes to see and ears to hear. Okay? Faith comes by hearing, and by hearing again. That's a verse from Romans. I think it's like, what verse is that actually? No, maybe it's Acts. Anyway, it is in the Bible. I know that for a fact. But this is something that you have to recognize. Who is faithful? Who is acting out of faithfulness and not just desires of the flesh? This is going to be the way that you can really overcome and take the next step to become that dominant, purpose-driven man. Because my purpose is everything at this point, and I don't need money to fulfill that purpose. Of course, that's going to help me out with the purpose, but I don't need money to be fulfilled. What I need money for is to accumulate the resources that I can have so that I can build certain things with those resources and create everlasting qualities and create an everlasting legacy for my spirit and for my, I would say my family, but I like when I say family, I mean like my brothers and sisters in the Most High. That's what I really mean. So creating a legacy for family, valuing your time, your energy, your resources. These things are like a taboo nowadays, and it doesn't need to be taboo. It really doesn't. So pick up your cross, be able to relate to the cross, and actually find yourself and find your way to make a difference in your own life. Because a lot of them times, if you're just not going to be able to, you're just not going to be able to. And I didn't fail those kinds of men. They failed themselves. So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. If you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, you can join the free Discord that is in the link in the description box below, as well as the paid academy, where we have 2 meetings once a week, group meetings. We have 1 group call, and then we have a Bible study. And then we've got a bunch of other classes and resources available that are not in the Discord, but we still have that godly community in the Discord. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's been moving from the YouTube platform over to the X and the Rumble platform recently. I do appreciate your guys' support. And with all that being said, peace be with you all. Till next time.